So you've probably had a blood test at some point, right? And you see that line item, liver function test, or LFT. And you kind of wonder, what does that actually mean? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this super common, but incredibly important medical test. All right, let's meet the star of the show, your liver. This thing is the largest internal organ in your body, weighing in somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5 kilos. It is an absolute powerhouse, just humming along in the background, taking care of hundreds of vital jobs. But here's the catch with the liver. It's a silent worker.
It almost never complains. It doesn't really send out obvious distress signals until a problem is already pretty far along. Which, leads us to a really crucial question. If it's so quiet, how on earth are you supposed to know if something's wrong?
To get to the bottom of that, we first have to appreciate just how good the liver is at its job, and, frankly, why its silence can be so misleading. The reason it's so quiet is because it has this massive reserve capacity. Seriously, think of it like a factory that has tons of backup generators. It can take a whole lot of stress, a lot of damage, before you'd ever notice a dip in its overall performance. Now, that's amazing for keeping you going, but it also means that problems can be brewing for a long, long time without you ever knowing it. And that is exactly why we need a special set of tools to check in on it. This is where liver function tests come in. They give us a way to pop the hood and see what's really going on with this silent engine. So, what is an LFT, really? Well, at its core, it's a panel of blood tests. It's not just one number, but a whole collection of them. You can think of it like a report card for your liver, or maybe even better, it's like a dashboard with a bunch of different warning lights that can tell a doctor, hey, maybe you should look over here. Now, to make any sense of that report card, we need a quick refresher on what the liver is actually doing all day. It's a true multitasker juggling 3 enormous jobs all at once. First up, it is a metabolic powerhouse. It is the central hub for processing pretty much everything you eat and drink. It manages your body's energy supply from glucose, it builds and breaks down fats, and it handles proteins. It's basically the main traffic controller for all of your body's fuel. Second, it's a synthesis factory. The liver is constantly manufacturing essential things your body absolutely cannot live without. We're talking about most of the proteins in your blood plasma, like albumin, and almost all of the critical factors that make your blood clot when you get a cut. And third, it is your body's #1 detoxification center. It's cleaning your blood, breaking down things like medications and alcohol, and it's processing waste products, like bilirubin, so they can be safely kicked out of your body. I mean, what an incredible workload.
Okay, so now that we know the liver's main gigs, we can finally start to understand how the LFT decodes its performance. The first set of clues we're going to look at are the tests that scream damage. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. We're looking at 2 enzymes here, ALT and AST, that basically leak out when liver cells are injured. Think of ALT as the liver-specific alarm. It's almost exclusively found in the liver, so if that number is high, it's a pretty clear signal that something's up with the liver. AST is a bit more of a general damage alarm. It can also come from your heart or your muscles. But the relationship between these 2 numbers, that's where the real detective work begins. And this number right here illustrates that perfectly. Doctors look at what's called the AST to ALT ratio. If the AST level is more than double the ALT level, it's a huge clue. Not a final diagnosis, but a strong suggestion that the problem might be alcoholic liver disease. It's a classic pattern that doctors are trained to spot.
But hold on. Remember, those enzyme tests, ALT and AST, they mostly just tell us about damage. They don't really tell us how well the liver is actually doing its main jobs, like building all those essential proteins we talked about. For that, we need to look at different tests.
Right. To check on that synthesis factory, we look at 2 main things. First is albumin. Since the liver is the only place in the body that makes it, if those levels are low, it can be a sign of a long-term chronic problem. The second one is prothrombin time, or PT. This measures how fast your blood clots. If it's taking too long, it can be a very serious sign, suggesting the liver might have lost over 80% of its ability to make those crucial clotting factors. And finally, let's talk about the liver's cleanup duty. Meet bilirubin. It's a yellow waste product that's left over when old red blood cells are broken down. The liver's job is to grab it, process it, and get it ready for removal. If the liver can't do its job, bilirubin builds up, and that's what leads to that classic yellowing of the skin and eyes we call jaundice.
And this is just fascinating. By looking at which type of bilirubin is high, doctors can start to figure out where the problem is.
If it's mostly unconjugated bilirubin, the problem is probably happening before it even gets to the liver, like maybe too many red blood cells are breaking down. If it's mostly conjugated, the issue is likely a blockage after the liver, like a gallstone. And if you see a mix of both, the problem is almost certainly inside the liver itself, maybe something like hepatitis. It's really clever.
So, as you can see, each part of the LFT gives us a totally different clue about what's going on: damage, synthesis, cleanup. But it is so important to understand how all of these clues fit together into the bigger picture. And here is maybe the most crucial point of all. An LFT is not a final diagnosis. It's a set of clues. Because of that massive reserve capacity we talked about, someone can have a very serious liver disease, like cirrhosis, and still have totally normal LFTs. On the flip side, an abnormal result might not even be coming from the liver at all. These tests just point doctors in the right direction. They suggest a category of problem, not a specific disease.
Which brings us to the golden rule, the most important takeaway of all. A single LFT is just one snapshot in time. The real power comes from looking at it as a whole panel of tests and, even more importantly, from tracking those results over time. You're looking for the trend. It's the pattern, not one single number, that really tells the story.
So, a liver function test isn't just some number on a lab report. It's a window into the health of one of your body's most vital, most hardworking organs. It's a snapshot of a moment in its life. So the real question is, what story is yours telling?